Hey YouTube, today we're going to talk about some of the differences between poor, middle class, and wealthy. Specifically, what the characteristics of spending, the things they own, where their income comes from, and where their net worth comes from, and possibly a few thoughts about how you could determine which one you wanted to be, and how you wanted to deploy your money and your cash and things like that. So, um, poor basically spending their money on necessities, the food, clothes, rent, where they live, housing, and then whatever they spend on lattes or eating out, or whatever they buy with their spending money that they have to have. Um, Middle class is very, very similar to that, except you want to add a few things like they generally have a retirement account that they automatically contribute to, maybe between 8 to 10% of their income. They have a house as opposed to rent, which they spend similar to what the poorer people would spend on rent, as far as a percent of income, 25 to 30%. But a house has an equity portion and some other growth portions that help add, you know, to their net worth or to what their value is. And a vacation, they go, to Disneyland once in a while, or they go visit family, things like that. And then comfort things that they have. I think the average American has, two cars, dog, a cat, kids, things like that, just things that have a comfort through their life. But primarily those things are about longer term security, about the place you live, and those type of things. Now you get down to wealthy, and wealthy people are spending probably 50 to 70% of their income on stocks, real estate, land, businesses, or assets that produce wealth. And so you kind of have to wonder what is first, the chicken or the egg? Do they get to 50, 70% of their income spent on assets first, or do they get the assets and then go to 50, 70%? So if you ask a poor person, they would say you have money to save 50, 70%. You ask a wealthy person what they did, probably 90 some percent is going to say, I started saving 50% or 70%, putting it into assets or a business I was growing, reinvesting, or real estate, things like that. And then that grew the assets, which made it easier to spend to save that amount of money. Their income are from different sources. A lot of times, poorer people have hourly jobs. The middle class more has salary, maybe white, blue collar jobs, or businesses that they run. A store, things like that might be middle class. And then the wealthy people, could have jobs, could have a business, but they definitely have assets. Their net worth, the poor people generally don't have a net worth. They don't have IRAs, they don't have, a house, those type of things. All middle class is tied up in their retirement, which is eventual spending because it's a practical thing, and then the house that they have. You can tell, a middle class person dies because the people, that inherit money from them or something may inherit a little bit of money, a house and IRA assets, and that's from middle class. You go to, wealthy, and they have stocks, real estate, land, or kind of business interests, and that's what creates their net worth. So one of the things I noticed lately, and I learned this in 2019 to 2020 because I had some real estate and some of these things down here, was that the poor, when inflation went up, their salaries went up. Minimum wage used to be 11, and now a lot of places like McDonald's are paying $13, $14 an hour. So that's gone up as inflation has gone up, to kind of make sure that these people are still fed. The middle class, their house value is adjusted, but it doesn't do them much good because they can't sell it because they're living in it, and their 401ks and things like that went up with inflation. But their income sources from their jobs a lot of times didn't change, And so that actually went down probably by 30% over the last year and a half. And so this was level with inflation. This went down. And then this one, real estate, you saw a big bump, 35%. And I looked at two different areas that I have real estate, and one was 17% up, one was 30% up. So I would say about a 17% bump was directly due to deflation of the money supply, and maybe the other 13% based on demand or inflationary change, interest rate changes, comparing the two areas. And then, land went up in value. Businesses have the ability and the necessity to raise prices as the cost to them raise. And so if you're selling stuff online, what you charge for shipping goes up. I saw some things that I sell went from $6.97 to $13.22 at the price that I buy it for. So I'm going to have to increase that cost by 75%. On the real estate side, the school districts in this area required 10% more money based on the increase in value of the properties. That 10% increases taxes that I pay, which causes me to increase rents for people that are renting from me. I don't have any choice about that. Insurance went up by 7.6% due to the cost of materials going up, and that has to get built into here. And so the cycle was deflation of the money first, then you had the values go up, then you had the property taxes kick in with the higher values going to school systems, then you had the rents go up, and so that cycle had to play out, right? And a lot of people can't tie the cycle together, I'd say, because it takes 18 months, and they're looking for like a 6 or 3 or 1 month cycle, and the cycle is longer than that. And so some of the questions that you might ask yourself that you'll need to discover are how do you save 50 to 70%? Do the rich save that much before they're wealthy, or do they only save that much after they're wealthy? And that's a good question to ask them. The other ones are, things like, what do poor, middle class, and wealthy people think? How do they think differently? Because if you think about it, if you know what food, clothes, rent, and this spending is for, okay, very, very practical right now. You've got your 401k, which is for retirement. You understand that. You've got your house, which is for security, vacations for family and comfort. So what are these things for then? And if, according to middle class or poor people, these don't have any reason to exist, maybe that's why they don't buy them. Maybe it's because they don't know why to build wealth. And so look at that and find out, why you would do that. The other thing I would say is, most importantly, kind of pick which one you want to be. If you want, to save 50 to 70% of your income and have stocks, real estate, and land, for instance, or you want to just save the regular retirement, 10-15%, and have your house, so that would be middle class, or you don't want to have a retirement and you just want to, be in this category, and that allows you to spend all your money. So compare what you want, to what you're doing, and then make sure that you're aligned, right? If you want to be middle class, make sure you don't buy, rental houses, don't buy stocks and things like that. Just make sure that your only investment is your 401k and your house, and, stay with that if that's where you want to go. But if you're looking for, something different, maybe growing assets or growing some wealth that maybe can change your family, generationally, then, maybe shift towards that thinking, which will lead to your different set of actions. Now, I'm going to create a second video on this, and I'm going to cover some things that the 1% do and some reasons they get results, and then a couple other categories under here besides the differences in income and the differences in net worth. Now, one thing I will point out that I want you to understand is there are no numbers on this. These are all percentages, and so this doesn't say that these people are a certain dollar income, these people are a certain dollar income, these are certain dollar ranges of income. It's all percentages, so it has no relationship between what you make. It only has relationship between the part that you spend of what you make and what money you spend and what do you spend that on. And so it's more of an alignment to values and what you value. And so I want to mention that so you can kind of formulate your thinking about what you're looking for. Down below, you can like and subscribe to the video. I added a few links. I have a few links to, cryptocurrency exchanges where you can get interest. And there's another video that'll come out this week that is about, stablecoin and some moves I made this week on investing. I'll talk to you later. Bye.